Well, the hospitality industry isn't the only one facing new visa rules. This past spring, US President Donald Trump ordered a review of the H-1B visa program for high-skilled foreign workers. Now, that could impact technology and outsourcing firms. According to the Washington Post, the administration recently floated the idea of changing student visa rules. The proposal would require foreign students to reapply every year. And the United States isn't alone. Australia, for example, amended its 457 visa program this year. It reduced the number of eligible job categories and shortened the visa duration. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull said the changes would prioritise Australian workers. Well, joining me now to talk about what impact these changes in the United States are having on the labour market is Tara Sinclair. She's a senior fellow at the Indeed Hiring Lab. She's also Associate Professor of Economics and International Affairs at George Washington University. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be here.
So let's start with a look at these changes to the H-1B and H-2B visas. First of all, how are they impacting employers?
Well, at this point, one interesting things is we think about where we are in the economic cycle. And right now we are seeing that the labor market is tightening. And so these changes in these roles are hitting employers at precisely the time when they are struggling to find American workers to fill these roles as well. And so they are seeing challenges, but we're not seeing a turnaround in the wages quite yet. And so there may still be room.
Now, which are the industries that are most affected by these changes?
Well, so these are two very different visa programs. So the H-1B are the high-skilled workers, and those are affecting, we commonly talk about tech firms, but a lot of management and leadership roles are also filled with H-1B visa workers. And then also higher education. A lot of professors and university administrators come in under H-1Bs, at least initially. And then for the H-2Bs, so those are those seasonal workers. And that's really important for these small towns that might be tourist destinations only seasonally. And it can be very hard for them to get American workers to move in and out.
So certainly an impact across the board there.
Yes.
Now, a lot can and has changed between Trump's campaign rhetoric as opposed to the actual enactment and implementation of his policies. How much have things actually changed on the visa front?
Well, not that much has really changed, and these rules do change from year to year and have historically been uncertain, and so employers are used to being unclear about the rules, and it seems to be a similar environment going forward. But the new economic climate that they're in, where we're seeing it be all the harder to fill these roles with Americans, makes it all the more challenging for employers today.
Now, it's interesting. We saw that JP Morgan chief Jamie Dimon had some choice words about the U.S. losing out on some of this good foreign talent. So what about the employees? Are we seeing a difference in how they're viewing opportunities in the U.S.?
Well, so that's a really interesting piece of this whole global labor market puzzle. And the Indeed Hiring Lab has done some research where we've looked at how attractive different countries are to this global talent, particularly these high-skilled workers. And political environment does matter. And so if they perceive that they are less welcome and that the country as a whole is less interested in having them come here, then even if the rules don't change, we may still find it more challenging to attract workers to our country.
So speaking of that, how does this all affect the U.S.'s competitiveness and attractiveness?
Right, well, right now, because the rules haven't really changed that much, we're not seeing too much of an impact. But there is definitely a shift going on, and we'll have to watch it to see how it goes on going forward.
Now, obviously, everyone's very familiar with this America First mantra. How is that affecting the overall U.S. labor market?
Well, again, we've got to think about it in the context of where we are in the economic cycle. And several years ago, when we had 10% unemployment, then we were in an environment where we really needed to have the fiscal policy coming in to try and help the economy. But today, the labor market is pretty tight. And so maybe we want to think about different policies.
Now, what about the quality of jobs? We know that there are jobs out there. Perhaps people don't want them, though, as we saw. You also have the rise of the gig economy, hourly workers. In terms of the quality of the jobs that are out there, what are we seeing?
Well, we're continuing to see this polarization of the labor market, where it does seem like there are good, high-paying, high-quality jobs out there, but they require people to have a college degree and specialized skills. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we are seeing people that are really struggling to find the hours that they want and the locations that they want. And so that's a continuing challenge.
And something else that we keep hearing about is this skills gap. So we have these employers, have these jobs, cannot find the right people to fill them. Are we seeing any sort of momentum or progress, whether from the public or private sector, on that front?
One thing that I think is really exciting on that front is all of these code academies that we see. And we were often talking about the need for more tech skills in our workforce. And that can be hard to cultivate, and sending people to college for 4 years means we have to wait a long time for those skills to come into being. But now we've seen this burst of academies that are taking only 6 months to train people with skills for the labor market today. And so more of that sort of program going forward could help our economy.
So at least certainly some solutions in place. Thank you so much, Tara Sinclair, Senior Fellow at Indeed Hiring Lab.